Hello again, everybody. This is once again me, Don Horatio, bringing you the fourth installment in my little impromptu series TLO Party, where I cast all of the replays from the most recent TLO replay pack released on TeamLiquidPro.com. Definitely go check those out if you have not downloaded them already and copy some of TLO's crazy builds. And now we'll get into the game. The first one of tonight, it's going to be Liquid TLO versus a Korean Terran Rain from Fnatic Raid Call. So without further ado, let's get this game started. Here in the top right, we do have our Zerg hero from Team Liquid. It is TLO, as my replay bar is still open. Fix that. And in the bottom left, we have our Korean Terran player, the aforementioned Fnatic Raid Call Rain. One-time GSL, I don't remember if he was finalist or like quarterfinal, semi-finalist, but he did quite well back in some of the earlier Codes tournaments. Certainly not at that level anymore, but still not a Terran to just not be afraid of, I guess is the phrase I want to use there. But definitely capable of taking games off of the best players in the world, and as is TLO, so I'll have to see how this game goes. Map is Daybreak, good macro map, no huge things I have to comment on here, just a good solid map. These fourth base locations, these are generally taken as a fourth base for Terran, as maybe as a fifth base for Zerg, depending on their preferences. But the contention's usually around the Xel'Naga Tower and coming into the middle and just in towards this base. It's the most exposed one, and therefore, in longer macro games, turns out to be the point of confrontation. Oftentimes there's a planetary there for the Terran player, unless they're playing very greedy, but in a really dumb way. You really would want to have a planetary there. So we'll have to see if any sort of Broodlord sieges or siege tank pushes or anything happens at these bases. We will likely see something of that nature. Both players just making workers and stuff, all this cool shindigs. Looks like Rain might actually go for a command center first on this map. The drone from TLO moving out to plant that hatchery on 15, and does so. And actually it looks like we will see command center first from Rain, so both players going expansion before making any sort of unit producing structure sort of thing. Rain will likely follow us up with a double barracks, just to make sure he's able to recoup the unit loss he gets from not placing that barracks in an earlier time. And TLO has not drone scouting, so it's going to be a while until he sees this command center. So he will not be able to really punish it in any really effective way. If he had seen it a lot earlier, he might have been able to perhaps change his mind, but as of now, it's going to be a long time before he sees this expansion at all. And he's not actually, we do see a refinery before a second barracks for Rain. He'll likely follow up this barracks with a factory then, perhaps, but he can't do that. He won't be able to do that for quite some time. He has not even started mining the gas, and he will need 100 to build that factory. Never to mind build a reactor to make more Hellions out of with that factory. So we'll have to see what he decides to do with that. Both the hatchery and the command center nearing completion for both of these players, and they will look to saturate that as quickly as we can. We'll likely see an initial worker transfer just to try and balance out the workers on each base and minimize that worker travel distance later on in the game. And just frankly, not a whole lot going on right now, as Rain makes both of his orbital commands, and TLO goes for 2 queens right away. And still no gas, so I would actually like to expect a multiple queen play here. Probably add another couple more, unless he decides to go for gas. But right now, that mineral count is building up for our Liquid Zerg player, so I would expect 2 more queens. At the very least, he could go for 6 or even more. If you remember that, if you have seen the game I casted against Select, I believe, yeah, it was Select that TLO was playing against. He went for this crazy, like, 8-queen push across the map with some roaches build, which was absolutely insane. And Rain is indeed following up his barracks with the factory, not doing any more barracks play, so adding a reactor onto his barracks, and he'll switch that over and start some Hellion production. TLO is going to want to look to try and get that creep spread going before these Hellions really get to a number that they can start denying these creep tumors very effectively. These 2 queens should be able to do that, though, and 2 more queens are indeed on the way, as well as a very early third hatch. This is probably in reaction to that early expansion that TLO probably saw with that Overlord that is now floating away up over here, over this little biome thing to defend himself on the high ground. We do have more queens going to the front of the base. No queens right now back doing injects, so he'll likely build a couple more maybe, but because he's going to want those guys back doing injects, but I guess TLO deciding that right now he wants creep more than macro. And TLO has stated a number of times that creep spread is one of the most important things Zerg can do, and he's really been avidly practicing it, denying that SCV Scout was trying to get him near C, but that SCV Scout probably did see this hatchery, so that's good for our Terran player, Rain. Rain now starting to build his defenses at the front. He does have a barracks up and is going for a very quick third command center. Not the quickest of command centers, but it's certainly early-ish, and looks like both players are just going to set up to play a long-term game. Double engineering bay going down for the Terran player, so that also leads to that long-term play expectation, as well as stim on the way. These double upgrades will be very, very good for this bio play. And the queens do continue to spread this creep out, making more and more. What is his queen count up to already? He already has 6 out on the map, and he's not making any more right now, but 6 is certainly a very good number to have. Having twice as many as the number of hatcheries you have is certainly not something to frown upon. We do see double Evo chambers going down, so we'll likely see some upgraded lings here, as his ling speed is now 1/3 of the way. Those upgrades now starting to get going for Rain at those E-bays. Right now only the +1 attack, but I assume the +1 armor will follow as soon as it can, and there it goes. Factory now off to the side, not doing much of anything. Just trying to get those couple of Hellions out, forward them to just go out and control the map. Hold on to that Xel'Naga tower. They really can't push him with the number of queens there are, though, so other than chilling at that Xel'Naga tower, there's not a whole lot these Hellions will be able to do. Rain adding another gas at his natural expansion, looking to get that gas count up. Likely to add some tanks into production at some point very soon. On TLO's side, he's now getting his double upgrades going as well. Both players just upgrading as much as they can. Dropping spores in his mineral lines just in case of Banshees, I guess. There aren't any Banshees on the way right now. There is a starport, but I believe that will be for medevacs, not necessarily Banshees. So TLO's spore crawlers, I mean, it's a safe investment, but not ideal. But there's not any huge problems to be had with that. As he moves across the map to maybe scout out a bit, and he will actually come at a good time to deny this command center from landing if he continues. No, he does not. He turns around. I don't really know what the goal of these Zerglings are. Maybe going to come back and try to deal with these Hellions, but nope. They're going to run right into the front and see what they can do. A couple Marines will get taken down by these Lings. Not a huge deal either way. The creep spread is starting to be pretty good. The number of active tumors are out. Once those start cranking out, that creep spread will spread very, very, very quickly. As the Lings do spot that third command center, but there's nothing they can do against these Hellions for sure. Dropping down to macro hatches, TLO, actually 2 at once. Interesting little placement there too. A little interesting idea. Oh, no, looks to trap these Hellions maybe? No, not quite. Rain does scoot those Hellions out of there. Let's see what else is going on in TLO's camp. Lair's halfway done, so he'll look to get those double upgrades started for +2 when he can. The Lair will certainly allow that, as he also is going for a double expand, making hatcheries at the 4th and 5th base locations. And that'll leave Rain behind 2 bases. Being behind 1 base is pretty much is where you would prefer to be for Terran. Behind 2 is certainly not something he will want to allow. But right now, TLO is looking to expand and get that gas income going for later game tech. Still has not taken the gases at his natural or 3rd base, still subsisting entirely on 2 gases right now, and a big influx of Lings as well. Looks like he's actually going to go for some aggression here. Not many drones making it all right now, but there's really this bunker is very well defended and will be quite good against these Zerglings. The SCV's moving in as well. I don't really know. Oh, the SCV's running around. I probably could try to get a repair off and at least block those Lings out. But hearing the Marines, and they'll clean this up pretty easily. And the Hellions as well. And a lot of SCVs did die there, actually, I think. No, actually, where did they all go? I have no idea where all the SCVs went. Maybe there weren't that many there to start with, but only 1 SCV taken out there and a lot of Lings lost from TLO. He will catch these Hellions, which is a nice win, but they aren't really integral to the long-term strategy of Rain, who is now at even supply, roughly, with TLO until TLO made a few more units there. But still, the supply is very close, much closer than TLO would want it to be. TLO is very low-tech right now. He's basically just has only upgrades and Lings, which, I mean, their upgraded Lings are very good, but they will need some support very soon. Does he, like, I mean, the Lair is done now. He should look to, he's getting those +2 upgrades, but he does have an infestation pit down, but has not even started researching that pathogen glands or started a Lair yet, so I don't know what his plan is with that. He should look to something pretty soon, but TLO is just making Lings right now. His drone count is only at 68, and right now he's just making Lings. I feel like he's really looking to get this economy, but he will look to catch this group of Marines out in the middle of the map and does not quite decide to engage there, but he will run into the main base. And the Marines are in a good spot, and a bunker support as well, and the walls down, but good surround here for the Zerglings, and even more streaming in. TLO is just this mass Zergling play, a very interesting idea, but it's just not going to work against these huge balls of Marines, especially with medevacs overhead. And TLO is indeed going for Hive straight away. The Hive is now about a third of the way done, and he has not made any units other than Zerglings, and he has no way to make them. He could make Infestors technically, as these rally Zerglings get absolutely mauled by these Marines. But there's frankly not a whole lot just Zerglings can do against this group of units. The Infestation Pit is down, but there's no Pathogen Glands upgrade at all. And right now I feel these Lings won't be that useful, or even Hive Tech units will not be useful without that Infestor support. He will greatly need that in almost any composition he decides to go for long term, as I run out of breath. Marine's in a great spot, and TLO once again just engaging with this huge amount of Lings. I mean, they'll be very easy to replenish, but they're very larva-intensive units and not cost-effective at all. But he's just making more and more Zerglings, trying to run by these Marines and sneak into the base, but that's just not really going to happen. A couple do make it through, but that is a negligible amount as he tries to engage again. And TLO just unremitting in this aggression, but like he's just throwing Lings away over and over again, but still making more and more of them. The Hive might just be literally, for the way he's going, he might just get Adrenal Glands and be content with his life. Rhino's getting the +3/+3 upgrade for these Zerglings, and there's the Adrenal Glands. It's like just an only Zergling play, and it's just... I just don't know what the long-term implications of this are, and he's just like running Zerglings in, and they're just dying and attacking at choke points, and they can get some good worker kills up at this third base. That would be pretty good, but he will look to die this command center, not even a cancel there. That's a good pick-off at least, but minerals aren't a huge thing for Rain to lose at this point in the game, and right now Rain has a huge supply lead, and TLO has still not teched beyond Zergling tech. He has nothing. Once Rain's army gets on creep, his Zerglings will actually be very effective, especially if he gets a good spot to get his tank. But look at this like tank siege up from Rain. You can see the location here is excellent, allowing only minimal surrounds for these Zerglings. And Rain's going to push in here, and he's going to take a great shot at this base. And TLO needs to tech to something. He can't do this the entire game. Siege tanks will wreck these Zerglings. It doesn't matter how many you make; they will just continue to die. And both the tanks live here for Rain. The supply gap was closed a little bit by TLO there, but not a ton. He really needs that Adrenal Glands upgrade as soon as he can, and then these Marines will be a lot more effective, and even with that +3/+3, but these Marines are also very well upgraded at 2/2, with +3 attack on the way, 2 tanks coming out at once, more orbital commands coming down for our Terran player. As Zerglings do continue to just flood into the battle, they just do not care, but they will look to pick off these tanks, and the tanks do go down. Great little flank and move around by TLO with this just huge Zergling play, but basically closing that supply gap to nothing. But the +3/+3 is on the way for Terran as TLO looks to push in with the Zerglings again, but a good little pickup by Rain to make sure nothing comes down there. But he will get a couple of tanks here. One tank going down, not a second one I don't think. Nice little pickup by Rain into the medevac. Very well played. TLO is just, he's crazy. I didn't know he was crazy enough to stick on pure Zergling for how far into the game are we? 17 minutes? He's made Zerglings, Queens, and Drones, and that has been this game. He actually, well, he's a couple overseas, but those hardly even count. And he does not care. TLO does not care about what can work in this game. He actually does spot that double drop moving up over the map, and the Zerglings will look to flood in here. There's a command center in the way, really lowering the abilities of the Zerglings to get it, but they will destroy that command center instead and just back off. TLO just darting in and doing what he can and backing off. Finally, we see a tech structure that's not Zergling related. We have the Ultralisk Cavern going down, and being he's been going Zergling this whole time, the +3/+3 will be there for them when they spawn. So that's really good for the Ultralisks, especially with that Kindness Plating upgrade. That armor will be +5, which is pretty ridiculous. Drop going down here in the 5th base of TLO, going to get cleaned up by these Zerglings, but I think he did get a number of workers there. If we take a brief look, maybe a couple workers there. I don't know what worker kills from TLO were elsewhere on the map at that point in time, but good little defense. The good thing about having only Zerglings is you get around the map very, very quickly. Kindness Plating now on the way, and 3 Ultralisks to start off with. TLO will look to basically get more gas. He just needs some more money to make more units. But Rain is in max now and pushing across the map. But here come the Zerglings, catching the tanks on siege, and this is a very good time to move into these Zerglings. They will trade a lot more cost efficiently than they otherwise would have. But even still, just the big, huge DPS from those +3 attack Marines just absolutely mauling those Zerglings. And this Terran army will move in and probably should take up this 5th base completely uncontested. Yeah, because TLO's just, he can't engage until these Ultralisks are out, and they're still only about, they could have a third of the way left now, maybe a quarter. They'll be out very soon. More and more Zerglings and Ultras, but the thing is, without the Infestor support, there's really no way to hold units in place for the Ultras to attack them. TLO's going to go for another little Ling run by here, maybe? Nope, just checking around, and now he will not go in for the run by again. He needs to come back home and defend with everything. I would think, or else he's in a big situation, or he can go for a really big counterattack if he wants. But can come here with the Zerglings and go for the flank as this army moves in, and TLO going for the surround here in a second, and here it comes. Ultros and Zerglings moving in. Ultros drawing some fire from those tanks, and Ultros go down melt very quickly, but a couple tanks look like they will go down from the back by this one Zergling fighting solo. But a lot of the Ultros are now moving in, but this was just not a cost-effective engagement at all for TLO. He loses a ton. Well, down to one Ultralisk, I believe. He does have 3 on the map, but he might have been producing those during the battle. And he now has 2 on the way, so he will have 5 Ultralisks, but, and a great spawn location, but a good pickup by Rain. He'll back out with those units, and TLO does GG. Well, I can't really say, I was saying it the entire game, you can't stay on only Zergling tech that long. He needed Infestors, and he needed them badly, because Ultros are great units, but they can still get kited by anything with range and any amount of movement speed, and Stim Marine Marauder definitely counts for that. So, TLO, interesting little strategy attempt, but he really should have tried to back out of that at some point and made some Infestors. I cannot stress that enough. He needed to hold units in place for the Ultras. He just really needed to do that. Mass Zergling against Terran, it's hard to get, there's walls to get past and bunkers, and you just can't do it as only, it's kind of, you can't not tech. I mean, upgrades are one thing, but you cannot have only one monogamous unit type for the entire game. So TLO does drop his first game in this little series I've been doing, TLO Party. He's now 3-1, and he's now 1-1 in ZvTs. And I will now move on to another matchup and another game. Stay tuned for episode 5.